Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan. This is going to be a real special Inside the Birds edition because once again, much like last week where we were not even remotely close to each other, Adam was not normally in his house out there in Westchester, PA. He is in L.A. for the Super Bowl. So for those watching on YouTube, they'll notice that he's in the, I guess, the Radio Row area, and Adam will talk about that in a second. I'm just back here chilling in South Jersey like I usually am. But this is cool because Adam's getting a sense of what's going on here as we will preview the Super Bowl in this episode. We'll talk about some Eagles things as well and generally kind of get ready for the offseason after this game on Sunday, which is going to be exciting. Right. First, so Adam, you're in the site. You're kind of in Radio Row area, right? So
yes.
So just to our listeners, they might hear some background noise because you're trying to do this sort of in a public venue, but you've got your microphone. That's great, and your earbuds, so that's cool. So everybody, we appreciate you at home and when you're listening. If it's a little weird, that's okay. It's color. It's Adam in the flesh among the people of LA. So how is it out there?
Literally. So right before we started here, Ryan Leaf, myself, and Jeff Schwartz were having a conversation about football. It was really cool. In fact, and I said to Jeff, I said, man, I wish we could go on the air with this. It was philosophy and quarterbacking and how do you handle guys who drop passes and all sorts. It was just really interesting inside football. And this is so. Let me give you an idea of where I am here. So Jeff said I'm on Radio Row. The television stations, the radio networks, CBS Sports Network is to my left. My good friend JT DeBrick is Mr. Raider. The Raiders, Raiders.com, they're to my left, and then straight ahead is Sirius XM. My friends from Sports Grid, they have their own space that they have here, and they're generally 300 to 400 stations here, but because of COVID, a lot of radio stations are not comfortable coming out here. They're still spacing. The good thing is they've really spaced pretty well, but there's about 100 stations here. So, and by the way, there's some Eagles here. Rodney McLeod, I just saw. Torrey Smith, ex-Eagle. Nice. Rodney McLeod's contract's up. They're actually – Jaws will be here later. There'll be probably at least 6 ex-Eagles or current Eagles that are out here, and it's good for Michael Irvin's going to walk by me in about 20 seconds. It's like a who's who of retired players, because what they do is they come here and they're brought here because we're generally putting out they're being sponsored by someone to speak, and what they do is the PR people bring them to the stations and they talk, for 10 minutes and they get off. So this is Radio Row, and I'm right in the middle of it, guys. It's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome. So obviously the Super Bowl is also famous for its fantastic parties hosted by all sorts of celebrities and stars coming out. And you're in LA, so it's almost like that was the party before the Super Bowl even got there. So where are you going to be headed out? You got some good,
man.
Profile plans?
Well, just a 30-second great flying story, because I like most people, we all hate flying, but for the first time in my life, I got an exit row to myself, which is like I couldn't. And I got to give the guy credit. The guy was so cool. Like, I guess they know if you paid for the seat or if you're using your miles. So the guy knew I paid to have the one of the 3 exit seats. He goes, hey, why don't you move over there? No one else is sitting there. I know you paid for your seat. I said, hey. You didn't need to tell me twice. Thank you. And I walked right over there. And we were 45 minutes early, and it's just it's been a great time, and it's a lot of networking here too. For Inside the Birds, by the way, we've met some people we might have on as guests. That's the other part of this benefit is for what we do for our show, and we've now found some people we might have on as guests in the future. So we look forward to that. And the other thing is, I'm running into there are a couple ex-coaches out here with some good intel, and some of the coaches are being hired and assistants. So it's pretty cool being out here.
All right, it is good. That's pretty awesome. I'm happy for you. You avoided my question very well, so I guess you don't want to tell me which Super Bowl party, high-profile party you're going to be.
Tonight is. I'm sorry, my bad. Tonight is Thursday. I'm going to the annual Ron Jaworski, Mike Ditka cigar party, where here's the crazy thing. So I didn't know that there are different strengths of cigars. So 5 years ago at one of those parties, they gave me the strongest one. I had to leave within 45 minutes. It basically knocked me out. I had to go to my room. And I'm such a lightweight. I was like, this is embarrassing. But I'm like, all right, hey, it happened. And I came back. I took a nap, and it wore off. And I came because it's a 4-hour party.
Right.
It's great. It's great. It's great for the for Ditka's charity, and it's a great event that they put on. It's the great thing is because the weather's the weather at night here, it's in the 60s, but it's outdoors, which is great, because of the COVID situation.
Yep.
So look forward to going that, and I'll go to like 2 or 3. I know my friends at Physio have a party. I'll probably go to that.
Nice.
And my first ever Super Bowl before we get started here was in 2002. The game was awful. It was the Buccaneers Raiders. The Bucs blew them out.
Yeah.
But the parties, Jeff, it was for those of you in San Diego at the Gas Lamp District, which is right near downtown.
Oh yeah.
I didn't need a car. I got a ride every time, and the parties. All I'm going to say is the penthouse party. I'm glad my wife wasn't with me. I was good. I didn't do anything wrong.
Look, but don't touch.
Hey, I didn't. I was a good boy. I didn't do anything wrong. But I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Oh boy. Anyway, so you asked, and I told.
Probably hit the ground. That's funny.
I did. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
All right. So you mentioned some ITB hosts that maybe or ITB, guests that you're trying to set up while you're out there. I like that. We did have some ITB announcements and releases this week. So we announced and we debuted the Trey Thomas show called On the Tape with Trey. And it came out on Tuesday morning. I hope everybody's checked it out. It's really fascinating, and it actually brings up a good talking point for you and I really quickly. And giving it away, Trey went back to talk about offensive line protection schemes and how the Eagles have their schemes drawn up a certain way when they're in slide protection as opposed to man protection, right? And the beauty of his video, and I don't know how he does it because I don't know how to do this stuff, but he can draw on the grease board. He gives you the X and O's drawing to explain it. Then he gives you the all 22 to see it in real life, and he's doing a voiceover the whole time, and it's great to hear Trey's voice, and he explains it so well.
What a great voice, by the way. What a great voice.
Booming bellow, perfect voice.
The pipes.
For radio.
Yes.
Great pipes. So the point of his video, this specific video that came out this week that's up on our YouTube platform, and it's only on YouTube. We didn't put this on podcast because it's visual. You got to be able to see it. Is that the running back's job in pass protection is to often catch the blitzer who's coming from the opposite angle of the protection, the slide, right? And in doing so, the running back goes in front of the quarterback a lot of times. And Trey detected on tape, this is like almost Coselian, Greg Coselian, that Jalen Hertz, as we have described many times, already has kind of a jittery feel in the pocket. He likes to get out of the pocket. But Trey noticed that when the running back crosses his face, you're in the heat of the moment. You just see color across your face. And that kind of contributed to Jalen leaving pockets early. It wasn't that there was pressure there. It was something going across his face that made him feel uncomfortable. And so a lot of the video was breaking that down and explaining ways to have great protection schemes that don't involve the running back going across the quarterback's face. And therefore, maybe you get a little bit more comfort out of the quarterback in the pocket. So it's a phenomenal deep dive into protection schemes, and he used a lot of the Tampa Bay footage to show how Todd Bowles kind of sensed it as well and attacked them specifically based on what Todd was seeing on tape and what Trey was able to point out on tape. So for this was one of 5 weeks of videos. Trey's going to do another one next week that really gets into the running game, Adam, like the zone from when they went to the Raiders and Lions when they were under center and then evolved into a shotguns running game with their quarterback reads and zone reads involved into it. And he's going to take a deep dive into that. So I hope everybody's been checking it out. And if you haven't seen it yet, you got to look at it. But it was really, I just thought, and I know you finally got a chance to see it. It's really fascinating because while he was doing it, he pointed out those times that Jalen Hertz just either made some questionable decisions, questionable throws, or got jittery when there was no pressure. And that's obviously something we've talked about and something that Jalen's going to have to work on a lot this offseason. And I know you've talked to people who, continue to tell you that that's probably the number one issue with him right now is just being more comfortable in the pocket when the protection is there for him.
No doubt. And the great thing about this one with Trey is it's only 15 minutes. So you can knock this out really quickly.
Yep.
For those of you who have short attention spans, this thing, he gets right into it. I mean, it moves. And no one's doing anything like this. This is just phenomenal stuff. Kudos to Trey. And I'm glad we were able to get this done with him. And obviously we'll work with him more. This is an education in football. And obviously it involves the Eagles. You're gonna learn so much by this tape, and obviously more, as Jeff's talked about. You're gonna learn so much more about football, and this is the genesis of Inside the Birds. And and then we got more from Trey, and then we've got Greg. We just saw Greg a little bit earlier today. He can't wait to get started with us for his free agency previews and his intel. And he's so funny. I showed him the list of players we want to talk about. He goes, he'll go, oh yeah, I can't wait to talk about this guy, because we submitted the list to him. Because he likes to get everything in advance.
Yep.
Then we're going to do draft stuff after that. This is just, folks, keep watching. We keep paying these guys. You keep watching us, we'll keep paying them. We'll keep coming back. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. And
that's what we're doing. We keep bringing them in.
And what Adam's alluding to is in 2 weeks on I don't even have the. I think February. I have look really quickly. The February 23rd is going to be the first of 10 shows we're doing with Greg for 10 weeks. It's going to debut every Wednesday starting February 23rd. It's called The Intel with Greg Cosell, and the first 5 shows are going to be about free agency, where we're going to throw a bunch of names, as Adam was just talking about, that of guys that we think are A, really good free agents, and B, good fit for the Birds. And then after that takes us right into free agency. And then the next 5 weeks will be on draft prospects, like we did with Greg last year, where we'll go through draft prospects by position for 5 weeks. So people want the more Greg Cosell. You're getting 10 weeks of him instead of 5 as we got last year.
That's enough. We don't need it.
Yeah, I know. That's about it before we got to put him on the ITB.
I don't think I can take 2 months of him. No, I'm just kidding. I love the guy. No,
you do other work with him too, man. You have.
I know. I'm just. I pick on him. He does not take it well. It just. I take it from him, right? John Hanson and I pick on each other, and then we pick on Greg. He don't like it. He doesn't like it, but he's
credit. In our
he's
pregame
great.
show, he takes it better. Maybe not in some other platforms.
Because he doesn't have a choice. Because we're paying him. That's why. No, I'm kidding. No, but he takes it well because he knows my sense of humor.
Right.
And it's taken him a while because me and Jaws used to pick on him when I watched tape with those guys. Jaws would hit me up and say, "Hey, man, say this to him." It's stuff I wouldn't know because I don't work at NFL Film, so he did. But anyway, to move this forward here, it's look, it's an period now because we're at the Super Bowl here. The Eagles aren't playing in it. The Rams and Bengals are. It's certainly. I didn't think the Bengals would get there. I don't think the only who did I see? Tomato Pecco I saw here play for the Bengals. Anthony Munoz I saw earlier today. He looks great.
Nice. Carl Pickens?
No, but Carl Pickens. You just mentioned him. He's on Twitter. He's not verified, but an agent who I know said it's definitely him because he knows him. Just this week he went on Twitter. I can't believe you mentioned that. Yeah, it's so funny.
Carl, I'm trying to think of some famous, other than Icky, some non-obvious famous Chad Ochocinco.
Ken Anderson, number 14, Ken Anderson,
right,
great quarterback in the 70s, early 80s, was on the Super Bowl team in 1982. Who else would we like to see? Who are some Bengals? The 80s.
I was going to say Boomer Esiason.
Boomer, yeah. 90s, yep. Actually, no. Who was he the quarterback in the Super Bowl in '88? I forget. I guess it was.
Yes,
right?
I'm almost positive he was.
He had to be right against Montana. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was MVP that year. Was he not?
I don't know. I just know I can't get that Bobby Hoying game out of my mind when he was with the Cardinals. I just to this day I'm like, this is not happening. Both quarterbacks, especially Bobby Hoying, like, come on, really? They were putting up, and there was a duel. It was a quarterback duel. But anyway, but no, it's an interesting week here. There's no doubt because when a team like the Bengals gets here, you do wonder if they'll get there again next year. Yeah,
you do. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about the game. I mean, you're out there. You're talking to a lot of people. You have your own thoughts. Jason Avant and Quentin Michael did a great job of Q&A summarizing it. They both think that the Rams 53 is better than the Bengals 53. It felt like I think Jason said he thinks the Rams are going to win. I think the Rams are going to win, but I can't discount the kind of sort of magic carpet ride that the Bengals are on. I think if this were like a regular season game, I think that the Rams would probably win by like 10, but you never know. Super Bowls, crazy things can happen.
That's why I want to pick the Bengals. I can't do it because I remember talking to the Raiders about this. They practiced a couple of days with the Rams, I think, in training camp. And they said that, they have one of the best starting units, 22, but they had no depth. Right. They thought they could spread them out. This is actually going to help me analyze this. He said the way you would be if they had to play them. I don't know if they played them in the regular season, but when they looked at their roster, and they haven't really added anything to cornerback, they have the same corners. And Cosell kind of confirmed this. David Long with their corner is just okay. He said the way you beat them is you throw and you spread them out. And I'm like, okay, that's a good note. Obviously you don't want to throw at Ramsey. And you know what's crazy about the Rams? They play more zone defense than anyone.
I know. They got all this man talent by getting Ramsey, and now they still play zone.
Ramsey rarely travels. And to me, now as we speak here Thursday, it doesn't look really good for CJ Uzomah, who's been great. Prior to spraining his MCL, he had 22 catches over 4 games. All of a sudden, you know why? He was the check down tight end to get rid of the ball quickly because Burrow was not throwing the ball deep. He'd take a couple shots, but a lot of it was intermediate.
Right.
And this is what Dallas Goedert has to be for the Eagles. As he and Jalen Hurts grow this season, we'll see past the season, assuming we're going to trust the Eagles that Hertz will be the quarterback. That's the tight end. The best friend of a quarterback, Ron Dvorsky, told me this is the tight end. Because he's that first guy you see over the middle. Right. That's what Burrow was doing before Uzomah got hurt, and now we'll see. And then Drew Sample, I asked Cosell this. He didn't even watch tape of him. The guy was a second-round pick. Think about this.
Unbelievable.
Drew Sample from Washington drafted. His high of catches, Jeff, for season was 25 his senior season. That's not good. Uzomah says he's playing, but I don't know how much he can play.
Yeah.
That does worry me a little bit.
Yeah, and he's been a big play tight end for them. Not a ton of receptions or receiving yards, but there were some games this year where he just went off and became a big play guy for them. And you think with this Rams defense, they can cover.
Down the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think in the end, the Rams defensive line is going to be a real problem for Joe Burrow. I do. And the Bengals offensive line. And I think it's going to catch up to them that they've kind of won games despite Burrow taking some sacks and having to throw on the run or make plays outside the pocket.
Now, speaking of our friends at you talk about sacks. The sack prop, I'm a little bit bold here on DraftKings. I like the over 3.5 sacks. Now it's minus 200, which is a lot to give up, a lot of juice to give up. But I do like them. It's so funny you mentioned that because if you match what the Titans have, they're 34 front. They had 9 sacks against Burrow. Now I give Burrow credit. He hung in there, and a lot of them were on his offensive line, not Burrow. That's why I like Aaron Donald, and I like Donald to get the prop is. I think that one might be plus 105. I don't have it in front of me, but I like the sack prop for Aaron Donald to get 1 full sack, just 1. You don't have to give up. I think you're getting. I think it's like plus 105 or plus 120, something like that.
Oh, that's not.
He's had at least 1 full sack in half of his games. They play 20 games this season. He has 10 games with at least 1 full sack. How could he not get a full sack against this O-line? Are you kidding me? Come on.
Well, this is how I envision the game starting, right? I envision the Bengals coming out, doing all this quarterback movement stuff, bootlegs, trying to get, Burrow out on the run, play action fakes under center. So I feel like the Bengals are going to hang in there for the first quarter, and I think they'll, in general, going to hang in there for the game. But I don't think that you're going to see Burrow really start to get harassed and hit and touched up until probably the second quarter, because I think they're going to try to scheme him away from the pass rush as much as possible early on. But eventually, as the game settles in, I think you're going to see – it wouldn't surprise me if this game was close at halftime and then the Rams win the second half in a way that helps them win the game. That's how I see the game unfolding.
Do I hear a halftime prop? What do I hear from you here? You're talking like a gambler, man. You sound like you want to make a bet on the first half.
I should look right now at what the over under is, because I think it's going to be a low scoring first half. I would be surprised if there was any more than 20 total points in the first half of the game.
Listen, the Patriots-Panthers one, if I recall, had a very high over-under. First half, it might have been 0-0, very low scoring, and then they went off. Both teams went off the second half. See, I think I kind of like it over a little bit. I'm Mr. Under.
Sure.
So when it comes to picking this game, it's really hard because you talked about it at the top here. The Bengals are no longer just happy to be there. They're upset-minded.
Right.
They've shown they can come back. They were down 21-3. That first half, they were so bad. But when Samaje Perine had that screen pass for a touchdown, and then remember the Chiefs botched the last play, the half. They should have scored there. They went right down and they botched it, and they didn't get any points.
Right.
That gave the Bengals are like Jason from Friday the 13th, man. You got to kill him and you got to knock him out. They're going to rise up. And that does worry me a little bit about Burrow and the Bengals.
So I'm looking at some of the props here on DraftKings. There's an interesting one on halftime. Like you can take a prop on, say, the Bengals to be winning at the half, but the Rams to be winning the game, or tie at the half and either team winning. I almost like tie at the half and then Rams win, which would be give me 1 second. I'll tell you what that plus is. Tie at the half, Rams win is plus 1,600. That's something I would throw maybe a little bit of money on right there. I like that.
That's unique. That's a unique one. Yeah, I like the player props. I went back and looked. I went 7-3 last year. It's the only time I gamble was on the props for the Super Bowl. I love doing them.
Right.
But I got all the Chiefs ones wrong. I did a bad job of understanding how the Bucs front seven and Todd Bowles could break down the Chiefs' protection. Remember, the Chiefs had 5 new starters on the offensive line this season. They learned their lesson how bad their O-line was in the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
That's right.
So you just brought it up, and you reminded me of that Titans D-line destroyed the Bengals offensive line. That, to me, is you set it up very well. That's the difference in this game and why I like the Rams to win it.
All right, last question, and then we'll give our kind of score predict, because I like the Rams to win as well. We both agree with that. Does Matthew Stafford, if he wins, does he start to build a potential Hall of Fame candidacy? Because his numbers are very good. I mean, he's going to finish with great, kind of like Matt Ryan. He's going to finish with some really impressive completion percentage, passing yards, passing touchdown type numbers, even in this throwing era. That's still going to be good. And then
I would say no. Yeah, I would say no because, well, no, he's not like he's 40. He could probably play 4 or 5 more years. His quarterback's now complaining in their late 30s.
Right.
Not right now as we speak. He would have to keep going. But
so
I would have
put Matt Ryan in there either, right? You would not put Matt Ryan in the Hall of Fame.
I got to look these up because I'd have to study it because I remember, and I felt like an idiot for saying it because it was off the cuff. Someone asked me if Jerome Bettis should be in the Hall of Fame. I said, Jerome Bettis, good, really good player. I don't know how good he is. He's a great player, great running back. I worked with him.
It's fair.
I remember going up to we called him. Some of us called him Bus at ESPN. I said one time, I said, Bus, man, I didn't realize how great your numbers are. You were getting in the Hall of Fame. You deserved it. And ironically, he got inducted with Pauline, so I went up there. It was the only time I've been to the Hall of Fame. I drove there with the Browns camp and saw Jerome and Pauline go in. It was such a great time, and I could not believe how great Bettis is. Because I remember him at the end of his career when he was hurt, when his knees were shot. I didn't realize. And don't forget, folks. Speaking of the Rams, most youngins don't remember he was drafted by the Rams in a contract dispute. He was traded.
That's right. Sure. Out of Notre Dame.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under for the game, this is according to DraftKings, the game at 48.5. So, Adam, what's the final score?
I've got it. Rams 27. Bengals, I don't call them the Bungles anymore, 23.
I was very similar. I had Rams 26, Bengals 21. So
you're an under. Oh my God! Breaking news.
Well, I know.
Wait.
I've been under all year long. You keep saying they've been under all year long.
That's funny.
Who's going to be the MVP?
MVP. It would be just so fitting because of what's happened to him this year. I'll give it to Stafford, but I want to give it to OBJ because he's been so good with the Rams.
Yeah.
The first couple games, he and Stafford were not on the same page. And they were saying, Sam Odell, can't get along with the quarterback and all that. Their timing's bad, but Odell's been so great. I'm going to go with Stafford because he's been lights out great. It's one of the few predictions I got right this season. John Hansen was my witness. I said 40 touchdowns on the number. That's what he hit this season for the regular season. Of course, it didn't look like it. When he closed the season, he did not play well. He sort of turned it over, but he's just really good. And you know what happens? It just shows you. And not that please understand me, what I'm about to say is not the same. It's like these people trying bringing up Josh Allen and Jalen Hertz. I know what they meant, but you got Josh Allen who's 50 times more talented than Jalen Hertz, but I get their point.
Yeah.
So when you surround a gifted quarterback with massive amount of talent, he becomes elite. Right now, Matthew Stafford's elite because he's playing great, but You've got OBJ playing at elite level, high level. Higbee before he got hurt, and that's another problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about Tyler Higbee because he's very good. He's a 3-down tight end for them.
Oh, sure.
But when you've got, I know they don't have Robert Woods, but you've got the best receiver in football, Cooper Kupp, who no one seems to be able to cover, by the way. Do you know his prop is like 8.5, and I like over on that one?
For catches, 8.5?
Yeah, it's crazy. That's a lot.
I definitely like the over on that. I like the over
Yeah,
a lot.
I think I have to check it. It was either 8.5 or 9.5. I can't remember.
If I'm going to put a money on a Ram to win MVP, not name Matthew Stafford, obviously, I actually might just put it on Cup anyway. I don't if I wind up placing a bet.
He is really not only will he be a Hall of Famer. I mean, this guy to me, he's on a pace to be one of the best players in his position in the game ever. He is uncoverable, and yet again, how NFL teams missed thinking he can only play the slot. It's just right. and thinking he's a possession guy. They missed. So many teams are not on that high on him. That's why I went in the third. Right. You see his numbers now. I understand it's hindsight. I get that, but he had a great Senior Bowl week. It's one of the Senior Bowl receivers who really lived up to the hype. He's phenomenal.
By the way, going back to my point, the over-under for halftime is 23.5 points. I kind of like the under on that.
I do. You know, I've learned my lesson on this stuff. The first half, they're feeling each other out, trying to figure out, okay, they're doing this, they're doing that. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I still think, though, that the offenses will pick up in the second half. I'm kind of with you.
Definitely. All right, so we're kind of in lockstep on that, which means that the Bengals will probably win by 15 to 20 points.
Of course, yes.
That's the way it goes.
I've lost. By the way, just real quick, so I went 6-0 on the pick against the spread, 6-0 in the wild card round. I'm 1-3 since then. I think. Mm-hmm. Whatever the amount of games, I only have one win past the wild card round, so I need a big bounce back here. Big bounce back.
All right. Well, this is the moment we've been waiting for since September, Adam. I mean, it's finally here, and in honor of the big game, our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. Are you not a new customer? All right, that's okay. Just bet on Super Bowl 56 props instead. DraftKings Sportsbook offers a wide range of props throughout the big game. We were just talking about a few of them. Take your shot at winning cash by predicting props like if a non-quarterback will throw a pass, fourth down conversions, total yardage, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code ITB, and get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5. I mean, who doesn't have $5? Have $5 or more and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code ITB at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Adam, there is some Eagles stuff and some NFC East stuff that I wanted to get with you, and then we have a few questions that were emailed to our website that we can answer. First thing, there was some news developing today. The Eagles sort of lost someone who was sort of but not really on their staff, and that's Jim Bob Cooter, who Nick Sirianni would reference a lot, even though he was never on the team's website, but he would reference the former Lions offensive coordinator as his consultant, advisor, on some special projects and things like that. And we talked, he was kind of like the only veteran coach in Nick Sirianni's ear throughout the year. Well, he is going to join Doug Peterson's staff in Jacksonville as the passing game coordinator.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's interesting because he was basically doing some work behind the scenes. So it's interesting because there have been so many different reports about some of the coaches who are going to join him, and none of them have happened yet. So you never say never, I guess. We'll see once they're announced next week who exactly the staff is. But, I mean, we have pretty good sourcing on Press Taylor. Doug wanted him as the OC. I don't know why it's Jim Bob Cooter. So we'll see. Maybe Press is joining him in another role, whatever, but Press is his guy. So that what you're going to see is a lot of coaches that Doug is connected to on the staff. Mm-hmm. Not all of them. But some of them will be because coaches hire guys that they know that they're comfortable with. And we'll see how many guys who are in that Super Bowl staff who would wind up joining Doug. This is interesting. So we'll see what happens there. But this Jaguars team, man, they're in a total rebuild. If you're a Jaguars fan watching us, You just got to be patient. They're in a complete rebuild. It's going to take them years. They just don't have a lot of talent.
Right.
You know, it's one thing. You know, Eagles had not 16. They had a decent roster. In fact, the Eagles thought that they underachieved. They thought they should have been better than 7-9, and who knew year two they won the Super Bowl. But this is not an Eagles 2016 team. Sorry, it's not. The Jaguars need a lot of help, but we'll see how good the staff is.
Well, the weird thing is that Cooter is being hired as their passing game coordinator, which is becoming kind of a
not OC.
position.
Oh, not OC. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
the OC position seems to still be there for Press Taylor, although, you know, I don't know. Doug has done some strange things as far as having different. I mean, maybe he's not going to have an offensive coordinator. He's going to have Mike McCoy as his quarterback's coach and Jim Bob Cooter as his passing game analyst and say, well, I'm the play caller anyway. Who knows? We'll have to see. But look, I will just say this for the justifiable grief that Doug got for kind of being loyal to a guy like Press Taylor. I think to at least bring in Mike McCoy and Jim Bob Cooter and have some veterans there is a good thing, especially if he is planning on bringing in Press Taylor for an elevated role or offensive coordinator position or whatever. But at least he's got some guys who have walked the walk there as coaches in this league. You can talk about how good they actually are or not, but the bottom line is that they've walked the walk in the league. They've cut their teeth.
True.
And so that's important for him. I did laugh. I'm like, I wonder if Shad Khan and Trent Baalke were listening to ITB recently to get some intel, and we're like, oh, wait, Doug wants to bring in a guy who, you know, basically he got fired in Philadelphia over. Maybe we should cut that off at the head before he starts.
Well, you know what? Here's what I'll say about that. If Press Taylor does join them, Doug believes in this guy.
He does.
And that's all that really matters. He just has to be right.
Right.
Because in the end, it's we don't talk about this enough. It is so important for a head coach. I learned this from Joe Banner working with him at ESPN. He just explained to me the first thing he would do when he interview a potential head coach. He's like, "Who's your staff? What's your staff look like?" Because you got to have a good staff. When you don't have a good support staff, ask Andy that when he lost his lieutenants over the years.
Yep.
It becomes a lot harder to win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor, the brother of Press Taylor. So, and I know that he's been asked about Press this week and has talked glowingly, as you would imagine, about his younger brother. Let's continue this NFC East and coaching category, because I tweeted something the other night that it didn't hit me until later that night. But the NFC East has been pretty lousy for a couple of years now. But if you look at the current state of defensive coordinators, all of a sudden you see the Giants have Wink Martindale, the Cowboys have Dan Quinn, and Washington has Jack Del Rio, who's been a very accomplished defensive mind. And, you know, the Eagles obviously are bringing back Jonathan Gannon, who did not get the job in Houston. And those are some pretty, you know, Gannon aside, because he's new to this thing, those other three, there's some fairly accomplished names there. I mean, you have two guys who have won Super Bowls as defensive coordinators. One guy who has won a Super Bowl as a coordinator and then as Falcons head coach went to the Super Bowl and then just did a great job with the Cowboys defense. So I feel like the trend of this division, which has been pretty bad for a while now, maybe it's starting to get a little better, and we'll see what kind of moves these teams make. But I think you have to admire the Giants' hires of Dable, of Mike Kafka, and Martindale. We talked about their 53, Adam. They've got talent. It's not always in the right spots. Obviously, offensive and defensive lines need work, but they've got some talent on that team that I start to look at them and think, you know what, that might be the team that has the biggest turnaround next year based on what they might do this offseason and coaching alone.
Well, it looks like, maybe I was a year too early.
You're a year ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because what's the stat? Is it 02 or 03 is the last repeat winner?
03-04, right? The 03-04 Eagles.
How could it be 8-16? So how's that possible?
Yeah.
Not a repeat winner in NFC East. Look, it's not like the Giants weren't good at points of that. The Eagles certainly were. Dallas, obviously they've been up and down, but good at certain points. I just don't see how that's possible. But, look. So you look at Dallas. Dallas won the division, correct?
They did.
Last year?
Yep.
So maybe
not Dallas will win next year based on history, right?
Right. So okay. Well, we got to go for the draft for free agency. But no, listen, let's start with the Giants here because it's the NFC East talk here.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Kafka is brilliant in terms of the cat is out of the bag here, folks. This is not anyone. If you follow the Chiefs, Chiefs fans know this. Mike Kafka is the brain behind their offense in terms of the pass game. That's why Mike Kafka got hired to the Giants to be their offensive coordinator. And I believe, I'm told, most likely will call the plays.
Mm-hmm.
He'll bring in Andy Reid's offense. That's the offense that he knows. And the concepts. And obviously, Brian Dable is brilliant. Even if Dable hands off the offense, he'll still have a say in it. Or if Dable decides, you know what, I want to call the plays instead, I'm changing my mind. Kafka will have heavy influence on it because he's going to bring in Andy Reid's concepts.
Right.
Their problem at receiver is not talent. They had so many injuries last season at receiver. They had 5 legitimate players at receiver, all got hurt. Yep. Even my guy Kadarius Toney, he's barely played the second half.
Right.
They just got to keep these guys in the field. So, yeah, their problem is their offensive line. Terrible offensive line.
Right.
So, got to redo it.
Yeah, if you can fix that, and sometimes you just bring in a free agent, which they've tried to do in the past, but you've got a new regime now. You bring in a free agent, you draft a guy. I think their defense is actually pretty good. There were times last year it had to carry the offense and couldn't handle that, but there were times that it could, like in their win against the Eagles, where that was an all defensive win for the Giants, basically. So their defense is pretty solid. Now they bring in Martindale, who loves the blitz. I mean, the Eagles are Jalen Hertz. If he's the guy, he's going to see a lot of blitzing from the Giants. Obviously, Dan Quinn isn't afraid to throw pressure at teams, and neither is Jack Del Rio. So again, and Washington's another team that if they get a quarterback, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but they tighten up some things, they've got some talent. They certainly have a lot of talent on defense that started to play much better over the second half when they switched to more zone.
A couple things here. Let's go back to the Giants. The Giants, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have talent on defense. Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale, yeah, I think he's in his 90s. The real Wink Martindale is the game show host. I think he's 89 or 90. For those of us who are in their 50s or 60s. He looks nothing like the real Wink Martindale. That's the comical thing about him. But he's a good coach. You know what? I respect the hell out of John Harbaugh. He's a great coach. But he was a scapegoat because their defense wasn't as good. Do you know how many corners? They lost both their starting corners.
Yeah,
Marcus Peters.
Did they lose all 3?
Yeah, right.
Peter, Smith, and Humphrey. Yeah. Right.
Well, the top 2 are Smith and Peters. Peters got towards ACL before the season started, and Humphrey got hurt earlier in the season. I mean, what do you want him to do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a scapegoat. I hate when this happens. I don't know Martindale. I've never met the guy, but it's ridiculous. I mean, if he has the guys back, don't you think they could be better? But I guess Harb's just not one away from him. It's Harbaugh. Look, I get it. He's a Super Bowl winner. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a little scapegoating here. But that's just my opinion.
No, it's possible. And I was a little surprised by it. Maybe they just philosophically want to be a little different. Maybe not blitz as much. Because you are seeing Greg Cosell has told us about this. You're seeing a trend of a lot more zone, a lot more quarters, a lot less all-out blitzing. And we know the Ravens, they will, just like Todd Bowles, right? They will zero blitz the heck out of you at any moment in any game. And sometimes it'll work, and then sometimes you'll look like the zero, like Todd Bowles in that playoff game when Kupp caught that long touchdown. So I don't know. Maybe it's a philosophical difference there that they want someone who's good but not as aggressive. I
could still see Cooper Kupp. This is going to be painful for the Eagles. For those of you who are old enough to remember, was it Flipper Anderson who ran out? Jeff was not covered. The Eagles said it was in the early 90s.
Oh, God.
Was it Buddy Ryan's last
89,
game?
Wasn't it 89?
89.
90?
Okay.
Yeah.
89 or 90. When Willie, I think it was Flipper Anderson who had a zillion yards against him and caught the game-winning touchdown. Was it in overtime?
Yes.
Joe DeCamera will remember. I can't remember. But I just remember the Eagles fans were so humiliated because he caught it and he ran down the tunnel. Yep. And I see Cooper Kupp, another Ram, and I'm thinking, how in the hell? Like, OBJ's a good player. You don't have to worry about you could single cover him. I'm sorry. Cooper Kupp is not getting away. Do not let him get away.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he could run, by the way. He could run.
Antoine Winfield probably looked at the sideline like, what are you doing to me, man? What's going on?
His dad probably wasn't happy either.
No, probably not. So maybe that's the case with the Ravens, just philosophically different. But no doubt you're right that Martindale is a very good, well-respected defensive coordinator, and now he's in the NFC East. And look around the NFC East, and all of a sudden defenses look a lot better because of the guys who are presiding over them. And we'll see how Jonathan Gannon kind of stacks up in year 2. Interestingly, Quentin Michael said something on Q&A I thought was fascinating. It's by the way, it was their last one of the season, so check out. It's great. They'll be back at some point, but they're going to take a little break. He feels that after watching Gannon for a year, like we're all evaluating and saying like, oh, Jonathan's got to get his guys and get blitzing linebackers and, versatile safeties. And he doesn't think that Gannon's going to change. He thinks that Gannon just wants smart safeties who aren't going to give up, make mistakes, give up explosive plays. They both don't think that the Eagles are really going to go after blitzing type linebacker Anthony Barr types. They both get the feeling that the Eagles are going to load up on defensive linemen like they do, hit the cornerbacks like they do, and just kind of treat safety and linebacker as they normally have, where you just try to get free agents and mid-round draft picks. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I get it, and you know what? They know football. I hear it, and it makes sense based on history. That's all they've done.
Right.
Eagles, but why can't they draft a safety in the second round? What is so bad about drafting a safety who's athletic and smart? My God, the game has changed. Cosell told us this. He goes, when he started watching tape, it was, okay, you got your deep safety and you got your in the box safety, and that's it. Right. It's not like that anymore.
Nope.
You can't be so risk averse to being better in the secondary. I think it's wrong. That philosophy the Eagles have had, I just think it's wrong.
Yeah, we've had somebody on our show express this sentiment before a couple of times. I can't remember who. Oh, me. That's right. I'm constantly yelling about it. I forgot. Yeah.
I love the way you set that up, the pregnant pause.
I've actually gotten some emails from some friends asking like if I'm going to be having a safety tangent anytime soon or a rant. I mean, they're starting to become a little bit my trademark.
Oh, the message boards, they kill you over it because they know you. Anytime it's about safety, here goes Mosher again. But guess what? He's right. Enough already. It's bad football. It's embarrassing. That's why Jeff's so passionate. You know what? You got me passionate about it. I'm sick of this bleep.
All right. Well, now that we're fired up, this is a perfect time to let's answer.
People are pissed off. People are pissed off. I haven't cursed lately, so I'll do it. I'm saving it for a rainy day.
Nice. All right. Listen, we got a couple of questions we want to get to, which I picked out from the website. They were good. So before we do that, I want to point everybody to our friends at phlsportsnation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. So make sure you're checking out all their great work and content at phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation. Let's also pause a moment for our word from our other good friends, including Sky Motor Cars. If you happen to stop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Jeff sent you. You'll get a great deal, the best deal. All right, a couple of questions. As we said, we're going to go ahead.
Real quick, if just want to jump in there, because Sky Motor Cars buys cars, folks. It's not just you buying one from them. Mm-hmm. I sold 2 cars to them. And remember now, we're in LA. They do business out in LA. If you're someone watching out west, you could get your car through the internet. Just go on their website, pick the car you want, and they'll ship it. I didn't know this about cars, growing up, or actually on the internet. I know friends have bought cars through the internet, but it's rare that you hear that. They do a very big business on the internet. So if you see a car you like, I know some people will fly in. Brett said that some people will fly in and get it, but they'll ship the car to you, whatever you want to do.
Love it. They're great people. We're so happy to have them as sponsors of Inside the Birds. Let's get to some questions. We had some email to us, and you can always email us questions either at insidethebirds@gmail.com, or these came from our website. If you're on our website, there's a tool where you can click on it and send us a question while you've been kind of perusing insidethebirds.com, which you should be doing, because Andrew DeCecco has been having some great stuff up on the prospects. He had a little Senior Bowl recap on some of the prospects who helped themselves at the Senior Bowl, and will be looking to carry that over into the Combine in Indianapolis, where both Adam and I will be. So enough of this Adam on location having all fun and me back home at headquarters. All right, we're going to both be in Indianapolis, so it'll be a great one.
Should I pan to? I might have ruined my shot. Good.
Well, so the first question, Adam, is about the draft, and not actually. It's more about beefing up draft picks from George F. He wants to know if we anticipate the Eagles trading Andre Dillard, Isaac Seumalo, or Nate Herbig to get extra picks, and what the Eagles might be able to get back in return for any of those guys. And I think he's kind of, I don't know if it's right church, wrong pew, but he might be along the same lines here. I mean, the Eagles do have depth at offensive line, and I don't know if they're going to be out there. I don't know if Howie's going to be out there saying, here, I got this guy and this guy, shopping him, but people will be coming to the Eagles wondering about that depth and seeing if someone will be available. And I imagine that Howie will be open for business if there's a good value to some of these guys.
So they love having that depth on the offensive line. I remember talking to them around the trade deadline. And then also right before the season started when teams had to get down to 53.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked to teams that called them about Dillard. I still find this hard to believe, but the person I talked to would not be lying. There's no reason to, because this guy, one of the teams I know, actually of multiple, called about Dillard. The Eagles really did not want to trade him. They felt like, listen, anything could happen. And once you know it, Mailata got hurt, I think. Did he, something happened. I think he, Lane shot him this time.
Right.
And now the problem with Dillard, I know the Eagles deny this, but I know other teams feel this way, though. They think, teams I've talked to feel that a third-round pick would get it done. Now, we're talking the third week of March when the trading window opens. If you're the Eagles, how do you not move him if you get a third-round pick? What would you do?
I don't know how you could not trade Andre Dillard for a third-round pick. How could you say no to that? I mean, you could very easily just take that third-round pick and draft another offensive lineman and trust that he'll be developed at least to be an adequate. You know, if the other guys that you already have, like LaRaven Clark or Brett Toth, who will come back eventually from the surgery, but if you look at what the Eagles have right now, Adam, right, they've got the starting five, assuming Jason Kelce is back. That gives them, right, from left to right, it gives them Mailata, Dickerson, Kelce. Who was the right guard by the end of the year? I guess it was it should be Jack Driscoll, right? It was Herbig,
but right. He's restricted, I think, right?
Yeah, but let's put Jack Driscoll there for now as 4, and then Lane Johnson 5. Okay, that's your 5. Now Isaac Seumalo is coming back. He's a starter, so you're gonna have to figure out what you're doing with Isaac Seumalo.
Great question he has. Yes. So if you would have asked me a year ago, I said there's no way they would trade Seumalo. He's been hurt a lot. Good player, no doubt. It sure as hell didn't look like he was going to be a good player after 2016, 2017, but he got himself together. Mm-hmm. And it was that 18 OTAs where I remember talking to the Eagles. They said, no, the light is going on. He's got himself together, and they thought he'd be a player, and they were right. But it sure, again, didn't look very good the first 2 years.
Right.
So they have an abundance. Look, Jack Anderson they like is a great find for them. LaRaven Clark is back. Mm-hmm. Someone's got to go at some point. You can't keep everybody.
That's my point. And they're probably going to draft a kid, with one of their 10 picks. So I think Dillard, I agree with you. I would take a third. Look, if somebody came to me about Seumalo and noticed, hey, he was your odd man out, he's a starter, but he's been injured a lot, and you want to give me a conditional 5 that can become a 4 if Seumalo plays like 70% of the snaps or something, then I would be open to business on that. I don't think you're going to get much more than that. I don't know that I would take a 6 either, though. I would have to be something like a 5 that can be a 4 or something, or a 4. I think for Seumalo,
I would not take less than a 4 for Seumalo. We'll see what they want to do with him. Mm-hmm. It's funny. People make fun of Roseman, the GM, about the quarterback factory. The Eagles are an O-line factory. My goodness gracious, he should have said that. No one would have get on because he's right.
Right.
Is there a team that you know of in the time you've covered the NFL that's better at developing linemen than this team? I can't think of one.
No, I think the Patriots are really good at it. I mean, they always have good offensive linemen because they're good. They lose a lot of good ones. To be fair, they lose Trent Brown. They lose the kid Thune to
Thune, right? It's signed for a huge contract.
Right? And then they just put guys in and they do well. So I don't want to make it seem like the Eagles are so far and shoulders ahead above every single team. But for most teams, they are. But there are some other good teams that develop offensive linemen.
Now, here's what I would argue though on that.
Mm-hmm.
They do a great job of drafting and developing. It's because of the O-line coach. This is why. When he can make guys like Jack Anderson, who they really like now, I know the Bills were not happy they lost him. They wanted him to wait a little bit, but he got a chance to get in there. You look at it, I can't think of a guy he's failed on. Right. Even Dillard, okay. He's not a bust in the sense. Now, he obviously has been disappointed, but the tape he put out is pretty good. Mm-hmm. He showed that he could play in this league, but the problem with him is guy can't play right tackle. He won't play right tackle. That kills their value. That's why they'll never get any team that gives up more than a 3 for him is out of their mind. If he wants it being dealt for a 3, good job by the Eagles.
Agree with you on that.
how he can't play multiple positions. That's not good enough for me to give up. In this league, I'm sorry, unless it's one thing if you thought he was a top 12 guy at this position, which he's not, then you give him a sure one. He's not.
Right.
Not yet.
I wouldn't trade Herbig, by the way. He's a restricted free agent. I would sign him for the year tender, whatever you offer him, and then let him walk after the year. And he probably would get a good enough contract where you can kind of get a nice little comp pick for him, like they've done with Big V and with who else left? And they got
you're not going to get the Big V signed for $10 million a year.
Well, no. I know you're not getting a fourth rounder or whatever you got for Big V, but you could get like maybe a comp sixth for
anything. If you get a seventh, sure.
Plus, even if he does, he just helps you in that formula. So.
No, but Herbig has been another Jeff Stoutland special. I mean, this guy was, let's call it like it is. He was really overweight. He was near 400 pounds at one point, we were told. And he's not like Mailata, who was 402 in training camp or 402 in their OTAs. They told him to lose some weight. Well, he's 6'8". I mean, who's a freak. Right. But this is, and I don't want to give the front office too much credit here because you got to give Jeff Stoutland credit here. When you make players like Jordan Mailata, now Jordan Mailata, it will be one of the best stories in Eagles history.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy becomes the best left tackle in Eagles history, which he probably will be if he stays healthy, who's to say this guy doesn't have it in him to be several All-Pro, potential Hall of Famer in him? Now, again, that's because he's got in his body to be dominant.
Right.
You can't say coaching didn't have a lot to do with this. The Eagles didn't know that he'd be this good. Come on, stop it already.
There you go.
It's Jeff Stoutland. Come on.
All right, let's go to the next question from Robert M. He says, people used to say defense wins championships. Currently, the formula for success almost always requires an elite quarterback. Do you envision any other possible recipes that a team could come with to get to win a Super Bowl? In other words, I guess he's asking, are teams going to start to build their teams differently to try to win a Super Bowl and not necessarily around looking for an elite quarterback? The issue is, you can say that there have been some quarterbacks over the last 10 or 15 years who are not elite, who have won Super Bowls, right? Eli's won 2, Joe Flacco's won a Super Bowl. But I would say they all played really well. They played like elite quarterbacks.
I get it. This is a great question, Robert.
When's the last time a Super Bowl winning quarterback played a terrible game? Probably Ben Roethlisberger.
Right? Roethlisberger did nothing. Roethlisberger did.
That's like 20 years ago.
I'm right. Roethlisberger didn't do anything in the Super Bowl that they won at Detroit. I was at. Roethlisberger didn't do anything in that Super Bowl, right? See, he knows I'm right.
Who are you asking? Some Steeler fan?
No, Jim Wyatt. You know Jim Wyatt, who covers the Titans.
Oh, yeah, Jim Wyatt, right. Yeah.
The former writer for the Tennessean.
Right.
No, but I was at that game. It was terrible. They won in spite of Roethlisberger. He didn't know anything.
Right, but that's can you think of any quarterback, any team that's either won with a quarterback that's not elite or didn't get elite play in the Super Bowl?
No, here it is, because I used the Trent Dilfer line.
Yeah, and that's a long time
ago. The word around the league is, I've had this discussion with coaches, if you're dominant, I mean dominant one side of the football, where like you're the best in the league, you can win with a bad quarterback or below average quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But in a league where the numbers dictate you should throw, because analytically there's nothing to refute it. I mean, you can go back to the 60s. Now with the rules that they are, and talk to retired defensive backs, they a lot of them will tell you they would never want to play now because the rules favor offense.
Right.
So it's hard to no. It doesn't mean that you could take like a Kirk Cousins. Can you win with a Super Bowl with him? To me he's a. And I've said this about Hertz. Kirk Cousins to me somewhere between 13 and 15. If you and I rated the 32 starting quarterbacks, Cousins is somewhere between 12 and 15.
Yeah.
He'll never be any better than that.
Right.
No way.
You could win. You just have to have a great defense. Yeah. I think you would need a really special defense. Yeah. So
let's move this along here. Could Jalen Hurts? I've said this before. I think right now, to me, he only started 1 year, but we can only go by that. He's a bottom 10 in the league passer. That's just what the tape looks like. Mm-hmm. No one who knows football will tell you differently. That's what he is right now. Now, can he be upper half? And I'm sort of not an apologist for Hurts, but I know, covering this business 21 years, how guys could take a jump. Only because I know how hard he works and how much the game means to him. But the problem is sometimes you got to get there on your own. The coaching only matters so much. So get coached up at some point. And Trey Thomas, watch this show Jeff just talked about, his first O-line show. There's stuff there, if you really watch it closely, I don't know if Hertz is going to get it. He's got to get it at some point. When you're not processing well, and they're showing it to you on tape and repeatedly you're not processing well, coaching will only matter so much. So we're going to learn if the Eagles are to their word this season. It's not going to take the whole season. We'll know within 5 or 6 games whether he improved this offseason.
Yeah, and I'll still say I think no matter what, you can find these examples. Like, for example, Peyton Manning was not elite when he won his last Super Bowl. He was actually managing the game, and they sort of won in spite of him. He could barely throw the ball at that point because they had a great defense and a really good running game too. So, but even since then, Denver has been trying unsuccessfully to get an elite quarterback. So I think all teams will still always be relentlessly in search of building around an elite quarterback, but also trying to make the rest of their team good. I don't think any team is going to go out there saying, let me build an elite defense and then try to slide a quarterback in there. I don't see that. Maybe one team will, I don't know, but I still think the general consensus around the NFL is teams are going to want to get that quarterback if they can get that quarterback.
Well, you never want to settle. Like, yes, your goal would be to get the best guy in the game, but as anyone who watches the game will tell you, you just can't pluck them from like the street.
Right.
It's hard to find these guys. When we're going to get into it when we do our free agency shows, your mind will be blown about how many teams don't know who the quarterback is for the season. Mm-hmm. And it's even potentially worse for after 22. Some of the teams that are not on our list don't know who the quarterback is for 23. Mm-hmm. The league is running out of quarterbacks, man. That to me has a lot to do with why Hertz is coming back, because they know him. The coaches are back. They know the system. Mm-hmm. They did have some flashes where you go, okay, I could work with that. Right. It has to make a big jump, but that has to be because I'm sure they're looking at this draft, and when we talk to Greg about these quarterbacks, I know Greg and I are a little bit bigger on Desmond Ridder than most people. Most NFL people I spoke with do not like Ridder as a quarterback. Now, I understand why, and we'll get to that when we talk about college stuff.
Yeah,
but it's just a bad year for the draft, and if you need a quarterback, good luck to you. Good luck.
No doubt about it. All right, last question will be very easy to answer, and then we'll be out. And the question from Tony D is, would you and do you think the Eagles can put a package together to trade for Davis Mills from Houston? My answer is I don't believe the Eagles will have any interest in putting together a package to trade for Davis Mills. I mean, we talk about what you have in Jalen Hertz as far as a certain amount of talent, and you're not going to replace that unless you're getting an elite, proven talent. And I don't think that that's where David Mills falls right now.
And the game has evolved. Like Davis Mills did a good job under Pep Hamilton, who got promoted. He was the quarterback's coach, is now their OC. Mm-hmm. Definitely improved. There's no question. Now, he had a bad knee in college. That's why he got drafted in third.
Right.
I would rather have Hertz over Mills. I could turn out to be dumb and be completely wrong on this. There's something about these guys. We've seen it with Josh Allen. My God, cannot believe how well he moves. When Hertz, now obviously Hertz had ankle surgery, but when Hertz was running well, he added something. That's an extra gap you got to cover. That does mean something. Like, it's not something I would have said 7 or 8 years ago. But that if Hertz gets himself to be a better than average passer with his running ability, look out, man. Look out.
Right. So I can't, I'm not going to pretend to say that I've seen a lot of David Mills. I've been impressed by the box score scouting. He seems to actually throw the ball pretty well. High complete percentage, won a couple of games that I didn't think he was going to win. I noticed that when I look at their box score, it's like multiple receivers touch the ball. So he seems to be a pretty good thrower of the football, and maybe his potential there. So I don't even know who's better between the Hertz or Davis Mills, but I would say just with all that information, I'm not going to give up assets to get Davis Mills, and move on from Jalen Hertz. To me, there's nothing there that would move me to do that. I would still focus on either getting an elite quarterback if I could, or just building up the team around Jalen Hertz.
I wonder why Tony brought up Davis Mills. It's so random. I'm like, why? The guy was a rookie, did some good things. He doesn't move all that well. I mean, he's got that surgically repaired knee from college. Yeah. Actually, might have been before that, but anyway, that was an interesting name. But he definitely did some good things. But good questions. No. By the way, when you email us questions at the Gmail account, because a lot of you have been good about it. If it's just for Q&A, do that. That way they'll read it when they come back with us, because it's good. Because sometimes it's clear for us. Like, you could tell it's not addressed to either one of us or either shows. But if it's for Q&A, definitely say that. That helps us. Thank you.
Yeah. Like when you ask, what our most memorable moment of the on the football field is, we know that it's not for me or Adam. So
You're right.
Who talks the most trash to us? We know that that's for Quentin and Jason Avant.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, Adam. I'm going to let you go enjoy your final couple of times there, your days in LA for this Super Bowl break, and then you'll be back soon. And then we'll be coming out with the next Inside the Birds podcast Monday at 6 a.m. And I just have a feeling we'll have some news. I don't know, just because with the Eagles in the offseason, the more days you go without hard news, then all of a sudden it just kind of develops. So I have this weird feeling. I'm not reporting anything. It's just my reporter spidey sense that maybe we'll have something pretty big to talk about. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, real quick, and I still cannot believe it happened. So we have an annual SiriusXM dinner for the NFL radio. And this is actually, wait a minute. Was this in Minnesota? Yeah. It happened in the Eagles Super Bowl. Alex Smith got traded verbally. They couldn't do it legally by the league rules because it couldn't happen until March.
I remember
But the agreement happened at the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And we were like, how's this never happened before? And it was at our dinner. And Jim Miller's like, is this right? I'm like, this is shocking to me. And then we found out behind the scenes that they were working on the deal at the what do you call it, the Senior Bowl.
Right.
But that was because you say, like news, you never know when it's going to happen. And we talked about it when Donovan McNabb got traded. Was it on Easter Sunday?
It was on Easter Sunday. Yeah. That's why I'm telling you. I got a feeling. It's Super Bowl weekend.
Please remind you and I have to remember to ask Banner what the truth was. Because we're going to get it out of him. Joe Banner's, next time it comes on, I want to know if they do that strategically because I'm still mad at them for doing that. You and I, our vacations, our 1 day of vacation got ruined for having to come in, schlep in
No doubt.
2 bumps and do work. So it's all good.
That was a rough one. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks, as always, to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work. His channel on YouTube is called Sports Talk with Broads, and his website is called broadsmedia.com. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.